Nintendo, a company you probably know since you clicked on this video. Some worldwide company that picks good and bad options simultaneously. They have games with interesting mechanics, characters, stories, mixed with the addition of rising cost of consoles and accessories. I'm not really sure where I was going with this. What I want to say is that it had a bad market while others has good ones in those times. In Russia. I mean, you saw the title, right? I think Nintendo's history in Russia is kind of unique in these circumstances. If you ask some random person on the street about who Mario is, they probably gonna give you the right answer. Except they probably won't make the connection to Nintendo, because most people haven't heard of this company. Yet, the community is thriving in its small corners of wiki groups, ROM hacking sites, forums, and even whole fan sites. Only kind of recent wider gaming circles have recognized it and became interested, including casual audience, when in the other parts of the world it was since 1990s. So why is it like that? I'm Zoe, my pronouns are they them, and for Russians, я Zoe, я использую они их местоимения, and let's try to dissect this rabbit hole. Wait, that sounded weird. Hello everyone, it's probably not 911 and we're starting with electronica. If you expected we'd start with official products, you're wrong. This is the 80s, with the USSR and the Cold War and stuff. I mean, there were black marketers, people who illegally sold goods including from other countries, but I can't really verify any of it. We're gonna talk about imports on different legal levels a lot here. Oh, is that intriguing? Okay, so what is electronica? It is a trademark that was used for a lot of, well, electronics. In this case, we're talking about handheld games they made. For example, this is the first ever game they have produced as known now. I know what you're thinking. Basically, those games were Game & Watch clones. Sometimes characters were swapped with Soyuz Multfilm ones, like the first one ever was, instead of unnamed character of or Mickey Mouse, like in Gen V's Egg. Those from... well, just you wait. I didn't expect to have it an English name. A very famous Soviet cartoon that has no good continuation from it. Some were changed without any reason, like firefighters to astronauts and Chief's face. Some were just straight up copies. But there was at least one known original. Autoslalom, a game where you are a car avoiding obstacles. Also the camera view is interesting. AK Family Home, if you're watching this, there's some fact for you useless Nintendo trivia. Also hi, big fan! Do you like silly... I can't say if there is any other original games though. Looking it up, it mostly shows this one, but I need to make a remark that Game & Watch wasn't only game systems they stole. Some were banded digicassette-like. This topic is very interesting, but since we're talking about Nintendo here, I'll leave it at that. In sources is very good video from person that understands this topic better. It's in Russian, so auto translation will help, hopefully. Really, check sources, it's good thing to do. And we're going to the first console.
Что такое геймбой, знаешь?
Геймбой?
Да.
А это хорошо.
If you know anything about Nintendo in Russia, you know about Dandy, spelled with an E. For those who don't, Dendy is a knockoff NES/Famicom manufactured by Taiwanese company TXC Corporation and developed by Stipler. It was popular at the time, being a cheap and available 8-bit console, while others were either complicated to set up or well like Pong. Also, TXC produced those Famicloms in different countries that hadn't gotten Nintendo licenses at the time, but the brand of Microgenius. This label wasn't in Dendy, I'm guessing because it was Stipler that developed it. Dendy was so popular that it got its show, Dendy Nova Realist, or Dendy New Reality in English. It was a commercial show at first, but then later they started showcasing other consoles like Mega Drive and the SNES, but both were not very affordable compared to Dendy. SNES price was, drumroll, 420,000 rubles by that time. Oh boy, I don't even wanna convert it because you can feel how big this number is. That sounded weird. Also, even between the Mega Drive and the SNES, Nintendo lost not only by cost but also there was Sonic-themed game show called Sonic Super Yojik, where people could win Sega's console, and let's have a minute to appreciate the opening. Ah, wonderful world of early CGI. Also, in 1996, PlayStation comes out, and from now on, PlayStation is going to be madly popular and culturally impactful. There is a lot of titles with wide range of age ratings compared to Nintendo consoles, so kids who grew up with PlayStation might find squeaky clean, family-friendly presentation not interesting or even repulsing, but that's just a guess on my side. Actually, I was able to play Dendy a while ago. Watch my brother and his friend play it. You know, siblings. Maybe I won't be so salty if he wasn't friends with the racist. Some games were in Japanese, which I find amusing but not surprising. Besides that, it wasn't interesting, straightforward pirated games, no 7 Grand Data on anything. So, in public eyes, Nintendo wasn't where there. At least to some. Okay, before I tell an anecdote, I need to clarify that this doesn't represent most people at this time. This story could happen only who were in similar positions, and so I can't guarantee how likely something similar happened to them. Okay? Okay. So, my dad lived in Moscow all his life. And yes, I have a dad. I know, shocking. He was able to buy Louis jeans at the time and stuff. Once in Cambodia, he got an NES. To be clear, I didn't ask him if it was the NES or SNES, but that's not important. The region this console was is unknown. It doesn't have it anymore. It played pirated games, but not in quality. When he got games from relatives that were in Europe, they didn't work. But looks like he got into Mario pretty much. He still asked me to put it on my DSi. On the other hand, my mom is from Krasnozavodsk, a very poor town where most people work in one factory. She played Mario too, but on a Famicom, similar Dendy that was cheaper. Yes, for some even Dendy was too expensive. I mean, it was Russian 90s, of course. So my mom didn't know about Nintendo. So I can conclude that some people might have known Nintendo by buying consoles overseas. Actually have something similar to my dad's story down the line. As a brand, Nintendo failed. People might still play Mario and Duck Hunt, but not the original console. But we haven't finished with the 90s yet. What I missed to tell you now is that the companies that provided Super Nintendo and also Game Boy were Stipler. As they knew about Dendy, they agreed to not complain about it. I think they agreed to that deal because Dendy wasn't the current console generation, and brand recognition through pirated games might have helped. Imagine if Nintendo was still like that to this day. I can't prove it, nobody can, except maybe lawyers that were involved in Stipler and Nintendo's connection. I mean, I wish I could do that, but I'm a 70-year-old kid that makes YouTube cartoons. and I don't know how to track this down. Welp. Okay, so we have one console to talk about. Game Boy. Game Boy was featured in Dendy Show and sold in Stifler store where Dendy was sold as well. It may have been a bit of success in 90s, but I can't prove it again. And here we wrap 90s up. Let's go to the future! Oh my god, it's second time I'm trying to record this section. I'm on the kitchen. I'm using a fucking blanket. And my brother is loud as shit. And I hate him and everyone else. But whatever, I'm recording a section. This is unrelated, but did you know that there were a big budget Russian movie about drag queens? It's called Jolly Fellas, and it's a great watch. Really, it looks like 2000s were a good time for queers in Russia generally. Maybe not for the internet and culture-wise, but at least they didn't get a lawsuit from like on a gay post from 10 years ago on VK. Sorry. Also, yeah, I'm a pigeon for this section because, like, it was Nintendo experimental era and such, and Animal Crossing too, and I'm friends with Furries. Okay, we left on N64, GameCube, and other Game Boys. And I can say that it was definitely sold. This time distribution was made by Novy Disc, a company that mostly made games for PC. They did some games for Smeshariki franchise, for example. Imagine if we had DS game for Smeshariki. Or Kikoriki. Okay, one more thing off topic. I recently found out that Westerners know about Shararam and Kids vs Magicians and other Russian stuff. It feels weird, but let me know if you're interested in what Canadians' opinion. Anyway, why Novy Disc? Maybe because they had a reputation for games in Russia. I know I'm not a good person to talk about it, I know. Accent and knowledge size. Ha! Are there any other stuff I can say about home consoles? Really, not really. From the words of the person I interviewed, they weren't a failure, but not popular. I can't find any records from people of the time playing it. But what I can't find is sites. First, Nintendo.ru, Nintendo's official Russian site. I can't say when it was registered, but first recording on a Wayback Machine, going back, to 21, so I'm starting from here. Also, it's one of little numbers of proofs for me that the GameCube was sold. For the second site was a fan site dedicated to Wii and future consoles, surprisingly still up. Okay, I need to give you context on how the fanbase formed, if my information is right. So, from said person I interviewed, the Game Boy Advance was really popular, especially the SP version, I guess. Since other interviews mentioned they had one. Playing on pirated cartridges, even first attempts at translation started. I don't know if it has anything to do with the Pokemon craze. Anime was shown on TV. There were even Cheetos collaboration with those circle things. But there were no evidence that Pokemon was pipelined to Nintendo. I need to check if those were translated. It'd be cool to see some wonky localization. Also, I forgot to mention because I didn't notice it, but there was official Russian Pokemon site that looks like made earlier than Nintendo site, but it's probably stupid if this is true. Just records are more available like a bit earlier, and this site is interesting that like there's no mention of video games. Like I'm on page, I'm looking at like there's like a contest about Pokemons, like for kids and stuff. And there's like no mention of video game Pokemon. Like there's a trading game, and there's also a tabletop game and CD Pokemon. I don't know what it means. Maybe I'll put like a picture in, and it like in copyright sections there's like Nintendo, Game Freak, Creatures Inc., all that, but like not try to promote like games. I mean video games. It's very interesting. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah. Wow. By the way, my favorite Pokemon is Pidove. Wonder why? In 26, if you believe Prescott, we talk about it later, Nintendo started to distribute consoles itself? I'm not sure if I understand it correctly, but 2006 was the year where the Wii was released. The internet was getting more and more users this time. Most Russian people seem to be in English-speaking circles when it comes to fandoms. Kinda interesting that it happened so fast, including that, spoiler I guess, the Russian Nintendo fanbase not gonna get any further for a few years. This site currently isn't updating. Maybe it's for the best. I love to see skeuomorphism. I don't know much about other fan sites, if there were any. Looks like people were talking in forums more. Ah yeah, I didn't mention the DS. There's nothing interesting as I said. It's old Benowy disc, probably nothing more. Okay, one more off topic. I have a Japanese DSi with the box and original papers. It's such a joy to have those. In instruction, example name was shown Nintendo Taro. Taro is very common name, like John Smith, but I like to think that this is canon last name for the Tearful me, since he was named Taro, for example, too. Female me is named Hanako, by the way. Also, recently I found out that they use Nintendo Taro, with... Oh my god, Russian. Russian just got... Okay, recently I found out that they use Nintendo everywhere as a placeholder name, and it's kinda sad, but I won't change my headcanon. Nintendo in Nintendo Hanako. Yay! I guess we are finished with the 2000s. We're going to the Thunder. Does it even make sense? I don't know. Oh, we're on full screen now, finally. Yay! Also, damn, I put out recording this part for so long. I don't like using my voice. Oh my god. Oh boy, this is gonna be a long one. This is the most eventful decade here, and from the start. So, in 2011, Nintendo representative offices were opened in Russia. Also in 2011, 3DS releases. And this is the first Nintendo console with Russian language support. Okay, I can't say if it was supported from the start or not, because in 2012, Nintendo of Russia opened. When I first found out about it, it sounded funny, but now it makes sense. I sound like Somerton, don't I? The first game that was translated to Russian, according to XYAB, was Nintendo X Plus Cuts by Anastasia Golovanova. If you're watching this, congrats for being first ever Nintendo game translator recorded. Yay! I have not much to talk about. If you're interested in learning more, this article goes more about every translator recorded till 2018. For later, you need to know about two people, Anton Ivanchikov and Dmitry Kaloev, because they're only ones that I played games translated by them. Somewhere in 2012, the official Nintendo store near Nintendo opened. I can't say about it besides that Lekov's official store was named Mir Kubikov, and I find it fascinating, although Mir Kubikov still active while Nintendo doesn't. For me, fun out there. In 2013, on Cities Day in Moscow, in collaboration with Дважды Два, a famous cable channel that's known for its geekness, was selling merch and people were able to take pictures with me heads. White people. Really, looking at stuff made by Nintendo in Russia, it's very apparently cheap. Like, I guess I get it just. It's pretty interesting. Remember my Mitoma video? I was wrong because there were ads on TV. Here's Pokemon X and Y.
И новых друзей. Время сражаться плечом к плечу. Время участвовать в грандиозных битвах. Pokemon X и Pokemon Y. Только на Nintendo 2DS и Nintendo 3DS.
But, I must admit, from the interview, it seems that they were shown on Дважды Два exclusively or not. Hard to say, but without the collaboration stuff, it might be. Also from recollection of interviewed people, there also was Zelda one translated from that Zelda commercial with the actor. Lack of budget, as I said.
Hello, Robozoya on board. I found that commercial, and, first, text were translated in this commercial, just interesting, and second, this commercial was shown on STS channel, so the exclusivity claim was false. I am not a good researcher, damn. I still think that there wasn't enough confidence in Nintendo of Russia to get budget on original commercials. But again, no proof. Man, I wish I could have cool connections with insiders, too bad I'm disabled queer kid. Anyway, back to Flesh Zoya.
Nintendo Russia also was an Ingramir, a Russian analog of E3 it seems, and nothing notable for me again. This Joker guy. If you think this, I hope you're alright. Since that officially nothing interesting happened. No fandom side, it looks like people made VK groups and other stuff on other platform, some meetups, even tournaments, but I can't find much of it in 3DS era. But I'm glad that I can say that the community exists. I just realized I said no word about the Wii U here. Well, you know the Wii U. Games were translated, no one cares about Wii U. But the Switch is where shit started rolling. Wait, is that make any sense? I need to go off topic again because, well, I hope Zorpo will talk about Mitoma ads more, but he didn't. Whatever, I can talk about them myself, you viewer. So, for those who don't know, Mitoma had a little ad campaign with story in 3 parts. But did you know they had a hole in me? You can hear what I think is a little snippet, but the full thing is lost. There are also update videos that lost. For people who are interested in helping me fighting those, I leave everything found about it. If it will be found, I'll make Breaker remix, I promise. Okay, it might be turned off for some people, just help me find it! Thank you. Also, I bet that Kaloev translated Mitoma, if it was on Nintendo's part. It's kinda like his style. As I said, I have no proof. Also, before I get to Switch, I need to mention this photo of Willy Tokarev on the Nintendo Confederation looking at Kid with a DS. The only thing I know about it is that reverse image searching didn't help. And so, we're hitting the Switch. I even made a little title. Y'all know it's successful, and this is where I started my Nintendo brain rot journey. So, we'll go to highlights and then straight to fandom discussion with current day and conclusion. 2016, Switch comes out. It gains huge traction worldwide, including Russia. Some people hear about Nintendo for the first time and think that Mario is only that 8-bit game. In 2017, Sindok made his video about the Switch. He is one of the biggest Russian YouTubers and he talks about nerdy stuff a lot. It's not out of brand for him to talk about Nintendo, but despite that I've seen most of his videos available and preserved, he doesn't tend to talk about Nintendo a lot. I feel like a lot of young people under 20 got to know Switch like that. At least I did. Oh hi, I'm a DK fan. Yeah, how do you know? I'm just a non-binary demi-viper that is autistic who is addicted to coffee and breaker. With Y2K swag I didn't experience, with gay fanfiction opening the site while I parrot and archive and drafts of stuff. He also did similar video answering bad faith criticism of Mario Odyssey. I can say this thing about that tweet. He was right about Russian gaming community kinda sucked, and the Russian internet in general was that's my add-on. I feel like the most traction of console got was in 2020 when Animal Crossing came out. I saw more people in Russian YouTube talk about it. Even people who usually talk about PC games tried it. Wow, people care! Also remember Anton Ivachikov and Dmitry Kaloyev? They translated this. Also Kaloyev translated Get It Together. This is also where I got into Nintendo in general. I planned playing Odyssey and Zelda, but damn, I have no money and I hate capitalism, so I can't say much about the original Switch Russian stuff, because it looked like they were none. I remember seeing advert for the official Mario Kart tournament on Nintendo's VK, that's all. Okay, we need to talk about community. I have a lot to say about Russian communities in general, and some of that applies here too. But if I start talking about all of them, this video gonna become an incomprehensible list why Russia should be nuked. So I'm just gonna point out that if you're gonna look at some communities, there's a chance that people gonna be worried about people with more melanin. Just a warning. Okay, I mentioned translations and there's a lot of them. Like, a lot. I can't say how many fan-translated games are out there. People just translate things they are interested in. Interestingly, I found a Russian translation of the Hey Arnold GBA game. It was before I became a Nintendo nerd, and I was in huge Arnold hyperfixation I don't wanna talk about. Notable mentions: Mitopia by Kozin. They translated both the 3DS and Switch version. Also one of the translated games is Induk Me. Thank you. I put him in a maid costume for my amusement. Rhythm Heaven Fever. I mentioned it once, I mentioned it twice because I can't believe it in a cool way. Like, localization? Translated songs? Biba and Boba? I just find it so cool. Yeah, I'm mostly hyped about songs like the Russian Rhythm Heaven community is so small. It looks non-existent until you find translated gold comics on archive or someone recognizes DJs on my fucking peanut style harmonization. Like, huh? Also I wanted to shout out the Tomodachi Live translation, but there's a not really good person involved in it. So I'll just mention that English TTS supports Cyrillic. Of course, there's also Archivist, like Nintendo Rush Archive on YouTube, having YouTube vids on channels that it's gone now, unlike wiki groups. Here is where I got a Meep photo session and Igramir stuff. Lot and peace to people behind it. Fun fact, this video will be a collaboration between me and another person, but they turned out to be not a good person and they blocked me. But I got press kit E3 2012 from them. Lucky! I will upload it to archive after this video goes live, and it will be in the links and sources. I recommend you to look at it, at least just for this V with the Russian flag on it. I just like looking at it for a while. Oh yeah, Archivist. I'd say the biggest archivists are pirates, not only in Nintendo stuff, cause I need to sell like every internal long cards for me to get any games physically. Also just in general, Russian pirates seems to love Japanese stuff, like full Kalkali discography including remix albums that aren't on Spotify, Yoeka, not complete but damn, Turkish Cool Life, game for English Japanese learners on Switch and XZ. Like damn people. Also yes, I believe Piracy is archiving. I call things by its name. I can't say the state of community for sure. I am not returning to runet for the life of me and put myself for more danger than some Nazi in my comments. Or you Nazi and me fan like Mr. Most transcendental character creators argue with the wall. I mean, I got myself into drama with Press Kit apparently, but I'm not gonna talk about microdramas and dramas in general. Something I can say is that runet sucks. Stochastic terrorism, and I only use Wiki to talk with my gay peanuts friends. I don't know what to say, it's sad. Let's get the rest of the story. I guess everyone knows how this ended by now. 2022, war with Ukraine starts. Brands are fleeing away, including Nintendo. Since then, there was also updated love of LGBT propaganda to include adult audience too, so you can find any physical copy of Miitobi on the shelves. You can still buy it on marketplaces. I guess no one cares enough to Fiazon for this yet, or whatever. I never saw Miitobi on shelves anyway, before and after. But also, new law come out that basically allows shipping stuff like games and consoles and other without need for consent of that party. I just call it grey shipping, so we'll be stuck with that term. With grey shipping, you can still get a legitimate official product, but you won't receive support from a manufacturer or something directly. Like, if you get a console and it turns out broken, you can help from a store you bought or third party, but not the company. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, since head of Nintendo's Russian division, Yasha Haddadji, made his own distribution company Achivka, where support and distribution of Nintendo stuff in Russia goes. They even distributed Switch 2, but the forks weren't adapted to Russian sockets and stuff I'll talk about a little bit later. However, with support officially gone, games were translated in Russian, but it seems only like big titles. Wonder was translated by Ivanchikov. Splatoon 3 was translated with no credits. I can surely say Ivanchikov is still employed in Nintendo, being a German company, as his LinkedIn shows. Russian people still can buy games because of no region lock, being it physical or through accounts with different regions. It won't save me from people calling me a terrorist on an iceberg video though. And I get it. I'm living in the oppressor country and supporting it by living and paying stuff that will end up in taxes, and I didn't do anything because my freedom is under threat if I donate to Ukrainian people, so I just gonna sit there and with my internal guilt because those people aren't wrongfully, I don't know. My hands are covered in blood of people I never met by government, and by association I become the murderer too. While we at it, Free Palestine. Basically, war didn't change a thing for gamers. People still can buy consoles through unofficial means. The Switch 2 includes a Russian interface, and I checked. Thanks for Loshkin for giving out their Switch 2 for this. Mistals included too. Woke DI won for once. Also, Wizen played Animal Crossing and drew on each other's island. Guess what I drew? Mario Kart World was similarly translated too. I can't say anything about Welcome Tour because who cares? I thought the montage who translated what if I find them in credits. I bet Tomodachi Life I Read Heaven won't be translated because it's not big enough for franchises. On the TL side I can't find for some reason there was no mention of Russian language support, but translators are here for a reason. My predictions of popularity, it won't be going up or down anytime soon. Is it for better or worse? I can't say. Russian spaces are toxic, so you won't find me there. You know, despite my disdain for the Russian internet, I wish people who translate, archive, ROM hack and stuff succeed. Glad more people can't play Read Heaven now, I can look at those gay digits again with cyrillic. It's punk. I think that's the word. Especially now when Onyx is a rare occasion. The state of the internet is poor. People are fighting with others, frankly for silly reasons. I won't do it again. I won't, but I won't. It doesn't mean those fights are not worth the discussion, but it seems more like an escapism for me. Microdramas about some kitchens while wars get genocide, stripping rights and much more happens right now. It's sad. Depressing even. What I'm doing now is pretty much escapism of sorts. But knowing how much people like to erase their own history, I think it's something. My silly gang show is escapism too. I escape by doing work. I'm sick of my train of thought for a second. TLDW. Go put Wayback Machine extensions on your browser. Put stuff on the Internet Archive. Make any source of record about stuff you care about. Because there will be some freaks like me in the future with weird special interest. Have a nice day. And thank you for watching. Okay, that's not the end actually. I have few things to say. First, I wanna thank Caleb and PicelBoi for helping me with this video. Their socials will be in the description. Also, I'm sorry for dealing with me. Second, I wanna update y'all on stuff. I will be quick. So, if you came here from Zorpus Iceberg and or my Mitomo video, part about Kaeru server isn't true anymore. But I have my own server, so if you want to get news faster, look at Nana and Katya, watch me melt down about Russian Mr. Man and help me bully Zorpu into making silly gang fanart. Feel free to join. If you would like to help me, unless you live in Russia, donations aren't possible. But I'm actively working on it. Best way is, you know, subscribe, like, comment, share. Even if you just do it to email, this will tell the shit of an algorithm that this video is worth something. Same with Silly Gang series, since I put a lot of my work here. If you're here for the first time, consider watching it or checking website. I didn't plan to return to YouTube, but since this is what I'm doing now, I just wanna tell what to expect. I don't plan to make my scripted videos all about Russia, even though I think there's a lot of purposeful clarity. I have a queer and neurodivergent Nintendo essay I made a while ago. I think I could remake and enhance some things that original essay was short on. Also some more broad internet and culture stuff. One last thing, I'm gonna publish my music on archive.org for people to use and listen to, so wait for link in description and pinned comment, if you're interested. One more time, thank you for watching. Have a great day. I'm